And for more on Modi's visit and the unique relationship between China and India, we're joined by Ye. She is the academic coordinator of the Asian Studies program at Boston University. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Elaine. I'm happy to be here.
You know, Premier Li and Prime Minister Modi signed about 24 agreements so far, from infrastructure to border issues. What is your take on this, and what does it say about the nature of this relationship?
Well, let me say, China and India are great nations in Asia and in the world. So I'm very happy to see so many cooperations are planned in the joint statement. I actually just read the joint statement. The areas of cooperation outlined are even more extensive than the 24 agreements. The challenge, of course, is in implementation, and that will require lots of expertise, experience, and trust. It needs time to foster, nurture, and grow. Let me come back to the 24 agreements. I think they can be broken down into 3 major areas, or in your words, directions of cooperation. The first one, and also is the most important one, is the economic cooperation. China and India are no doubt the largest countries in the world. Their markets are highly complementary and comparable. For example, India needs lots of infrastructure, and China has lots of experience and capital in building infrastructure. India needs lots of manufacturing jobs. China has much to offer in that aspect. But on the other hand, India has strengths in innovation, design, management, social entrepreneurship that can be very, very useful to China. So I think the agreements focus on the economic side is really wise. The second part is military and border issues. I think that it's very nice to have these difficulties out in the open before the launching of the new era, because nowadays China and India, of course, they are not strategic rivals. So I do not anticipate any kind of military crash between them. But they do have very disputed long borders, and the armies are stationed across the border. So any kind of military border frictions can be exaggerated and become a very big nationalist problems in the country. So I hope to see the agreements outlining detailed mechanisms on how to manage the crisis and how to prevent these border issues from becoming national crises that will interrupt their bigger goals, agenda here, that is joint prosperity and development.
You did mention
the last part. Yes.
I'm so sorry. You did mention that they do have a lot in common, and that they have had strained ties in the past. You mentioned some of the border issues. Were you surprised that they addressed some of those issues? And what are some of the other areas of disagreement between these two countries that remain?
The border issues, normally the Chinese leaders tend not to focus on, but this time they have to address it, and I think it's a very, very correct way to do it, because I understand from India, the border issue and the border war really scarred their nationalism, and if you do not work on the border issue, any deals Prime Minister Modi brings back to India will become a liability to his domestic legacy. So but bottom line is it cannot be resolved because it involves border, involves territory. It's so related to their sovereignty and nationalism. So it cannot be resolved. But having the understanding, having the dialogues, and having the commitment and the discourses on how to build trust and joint military exchange dialogues, hotlines, and transparency of their intentions over in the border areas. Those will really ease the complicated domestic issues down the road.
Miss Ye,
So
I
I
want to
actually
ask you.
applaud these new moves.
I want to ask you about one of the lighter notes of this trip so far. It's getting a lot of attention. Premier Lee and Mr. Modi took a photograph together, a selfie, which is something that the younger generation can connect with. It's got a lot of attention. Some are calling it the most powerful selfie in history. We have about 30 seconds left. What's your take on it? What does this show?
I'm sorry, could you, what were you asking?
Prime Minister Modi took a photograph, a selfie photograph with Premier Li Keqiang. Just want to get your take on this light moment of this photograph together that's just really making the rounds on social media.
Yeah, I think this they really get it. I think for these both countries, the public opinions, the public feelings about each other are the key. We can argue for their economic complementarity, but down the line is really how do people feel about the other people. So I actually think the Prime Minister Modi is taking more lighter way and engaging the media, engaging the youth, and get the youth in their country, in China and in India, excited about visiting, about studying, about working in each other's place. That actually is very, very important, and that needs to be done right away and sustained and expanded in the future.
They certainly got a lot of attention.
Yeah,
We're out of time. Min Ye, thank you so much for joining us from Boston.